A. Enter at the working walk. Proceed down center line to X without halting. X to M, continue working walk along diagonal. M to H, working walk. H to E. Between H and E, begin leg yield left across center line, arriving on the quarter line between B and F. Continue working walk down quarter line to lower rail. At lower rail, turn right and proceed to K. K to E. Between K and E, begin leg yield right across center line, arriving on the quarter line between B and M. Continue working walk down quarter line to upper rail. At upper rail, turn left and proceed to H. HXF, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. F through A, working walk. A, circle right 15 meters in the working walk without losing the rhythm or swing of the gait. A to K, working walk. KXM, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride, allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. M to C, working walk. C, circle left 15 meters in the working walk without losing the rhythm or swing of the gait. HXK, zigzag on straight lines at letters. A to F, working walk. F to X, working walk along diagonal, turn down center line at X. X to G. Between X and G, halt and salute. Dismount, stand quietly for a moment. You may reward your horse. Take the reins over the horse's head, run up the stirrups, and leave the arena, leading the horse at its shoulder. We want to thank Annika for doing such a great job here, helping us out riding these tests. Now let's go through this time and let's talk about it. Horse has a pretty nice activity here in the walk. Now we'd like to see the rider stretch her chest up, upper body up a little bit, and bring those hands together. See the horse getting a little bit crooked on the center line there. She's having some good moments in the working walk, but we can see that it's inconsistent. So of course that's going to be reflected in the score. So starting with our first leg yield here, we see how there's a little bit of resistance. The horse kind of throws its shoulder out at first, gets a little bit crooked in it. Improves after here, though still trailing a bit, though she corrects it there. So last few strides of that were pretty good, though still trailing her hindquarters a little bit. But once again, we'd like to see the rider stretch up and bring her hands up just a little bit and carry them up and a little closer together. Right there is getting to be quite a nice working walk. So if we had that consistently, we'd have a pretty good score. So now to the second leg yield. A little better starting off. We can see how the horse also once again throws its shoulder out too far, begins to trail the hindquarters. Still better. She corrects it there. Getting a little better there. Now there's about where it would be nice to see. So if that had been consistent, we see how we resist the bridle just a little bit when we get to that position. So a little bit inconsistent, and she overshot the quarter line there a little bit. So stretch didn't start well because wasn't really relaxed into the contact when we started, though it improves when she gets to about here. Starts to look a little better. So that starts to look much better. So we'd like to see that have begun back at the corner there. And that will happen much quicker. You notice how she had to take contact, get the horse listening to her a little bit, and then she was able to get the stretch. Once again, better working walk here. It's beginning to settle over her back a little bit more. Now this is the first of the 15-meter circles. Now I believe that she was riding an earlier version of this test, which thought they were 20-meter circles there. So we'll give her the benefit of the doubt there. Now just looking at the rider here in the circle as we see her go around, we can see that her outside leg is not back where it belongs on the circle. So as a rider, we'd like to see her once again stretch up. We'd like to see her develop that ability to bring that outside leg back from the hip a little bit more to help her bend on those circles. And once again, she comes back to a little better working walk here. They're not quite settled there. It starts to look pretty good. About right there. So definitely having some good moments here. Now the second stretch here comes much better. Notice that comes much sooner. There's a steadier sense of her stretching down and forward. Almost got a little bit too active wanting to jig, but didn't quite, so that's good. So better stretch in that. Now, once again, if she had lifted her chest a little bit and brought herself up, remember that when we want a horse's back to come up, we have to stretch ourselves up and lighten our weight on the back of the horse a little bit. So this is our second circle. Once again, these should have been 15-meter circles, but as I said, I think she's riding an earlier version of the test, so we'll give her the benefit of the doubt here. And the working walk improves here, getting a little better there. But we can see how inconsistency is one of the hardest things here, keeping that working walk consistent to get those higher scores. And once again, kind of loses engagement once in a while. That is, the back disengaged. It doesn't really go hollow, but just kind of loses that sense of lift. A little better turns on this zigzag here than some of her other ones. Comes back to a little better working walk. But to really improve these scores and get them a lot higher, we need to see that working walk become really consistent. So we're looking for that frame to be exactly the same, each step to be exactly the same. So we can see how she loses contact here for a minute. The horse kind of slows down once again, loses engagement. And all those things would affect the score. Turn onto the center line. Pretty good active working walk here. Better. Beginning to get up over her back there a little more. A little straighter on the center line here, though a little crooked to the inside. Getting better as she goes there. Now she forgot her halt here, so she forgot her salute, that is, though the halt was not bad. Dismount, not bad. And here she forgets to run her stirrups up, which we would like to see. And the horse gets a little jiggy and moves around before she moves off, so that would, of course, affect the score. So now we'll go through again and we'll score the test. Proceed down center line to X without halting. X to M, continue working walk along diagonal. A little crooked on center line for working walk. Comes above the bit for a moment. Working walk a bit inconsistent, loses engagement. H to E. Between H and E, begin leg yield left across center line, arriving on the quarter line between B and F. Continue working walk down quarter line to lower rail. At lower rail, turn right and proceed to K. Resist a little bit in that leg yield, though improves as it goes on. 3. K to E. Between K and E, begin leg yield right across center line, arriving on the quarter line between B and M. Working walk 4. Continue working walk down quarter line to upper rail. At upper rail, turn left and proceed to H. Better in the leg yield this time. Some resistance, but better crossing over and better correction. 4. HXF, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. Some change of rhythm in the working walk. 4. F through A, working walk. Takes too long to begin the stretch, but improves as it does. 3. A, circle right 15 meters in the working walk without losing the rhythm or swing of the gait. F to A, 5 in that working walk, that was better. A to K, working walk. Horse loses rhythm somewhat on the circle. KXM, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride, allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. A to K, working walk, that was better. 5. M to C, working walk. Better stretch here. 5. C, circle left 15 meters in the working walk without losing the rhythm or swing of the gait. Working walk 5. H, X, K, zigzag on straight lines at letters. Better circle 5. Better consistency that needs more engagement 4. A to F, working walk. F to X, working walk along diagonal, turn down center line at X. Beginning to lose position on the turns 4. X to G. Between X and G, halt and salute. Diagonal. Dismount, stand quietly for a moment. You may reward your horse. Take the reins over the horse's head, run up the stirrups, and leave the arena, leading the horse at its shoulder. A little crooked at the halt, but stands quietly. 4. Dismount there. Of course, we forgot our stirrups and a few other things there in the salute, so we'll call that a 4. Now let's talk about the horse's correct level of development for this test entered. Now we can see the horse losing the rhythm and losing engagement throughout. That is, we saw her come on the bridle and have some really nice moments where she seemed to lift up through the back, and then she would lose that throughout. So that tells me we have to look at that from the point of view of is the horse really physically developed enough to maintain that rhythm? So that can also be a rider problem as well, but we're going to call that a 4 there. Harmony between horse and rider. We never see any big arguments. We see a little bit of resistance here and there, but nothing terrible. The rider working her way through her problems. Needs to be a lot more consistent so the horse can answer a little bit sooner when she asks for things and stay a little more consistent in the frame. But as I say, we're not seeing anything terrible, no major faults there between the two of them. So we're going to give that a 4. Rider's correct level of physical development for the level enter. This would include the rider's sheet and use of aids. Not bad here. We can see very often that her hands are kind of all over the place a little bit, sometimes high, sometimes too low, and once in a while coming like she is there. It's starting to look much better. So the position is not quite consistent. So as far as developing, she looks fit enough to do this, but once again, it's we may look physically fit, but having the strength to actually hold ourselves in the correct position all the time to be able to keep our outside leg back, like we see here on this diagonal. She needs to get better use of her outside leg and help her stretch up into her upper body there a little bit more. So we're going to give her a 4 on that also. Artistic impression, once again, because of the inconsistency. Remember, we really get good impression artistic marks when there's very little to distract us. In other words, when the horse looks very consistent in the frame, we can't see the rider moving their hands up and down, these sorts of things. That is where we begin to really get much higher marks in there. So we're going to call that a 3. We want to thank Annika for doing a great job and helping us out here. Everyone who's been brave enough to step up and ride these tests, we really appreciate it. The score for this test would have been 40.40. 40.40. So great job. Really appreciate it. Improving all the time. We saw some improved walk work on this test than the last one that we saw with Annika. So we're definitely seeing things improving, but we can see how that consistency and everything is what's going to really begin to make these scores go up. All that changing of frame, like you see here, coming on and off the bridle, getting up over a back and then losing it. These are the things that really cost us a great deal of points, like consistency and everything. So great work, Annika. We appreciate all your hard work, and we'll see everybody for the next one.